Hi, it's Mike Inglis here from the Mind Room, and today I'll be talking about athlete identity and what happens to this when we're unable to perform. First of all, we need to begin with identity in itself. Identity is how we see ourselves. It's our personalities, our characteristics, our belief systems, and what we value most makes up our identity. The athlete component of identity is really how much of it is we are as a footballer and how important that might be to us compared to our different other identities in life, whether it be amongst family, friends, and other careers. But it's also a social statement of who we are and how we want to be seen by others, as well as how we see ourselves. In the sporting environment, athletes look for social approval as part of their athlete identity, particularly from their peers, coaches, and other staff members. From what I've observed, the athletic identity part is confirmed mostly by how they feel a sense of belonging in terms of their chosen sport, in this case, football. So once we feel like we belong at this standard, our athlete identity is embedded in terms of how we see ourselves with the sport. The stage of career can also influence athletic identity. If you're at the beginning stages of your identity, the athletic identity is still being established. It's not embedded as yet. You're still searching for acceptance and respect in the football world. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that it isn't established as it might be later in your career. If you're in mid-career, generally it is well established. But the con of that is the majority of your identity is wrapped up in football only. So it might be very narrow in terms of the different identities that you have into just being an athlete. Something that might challenge that from mid-career to late career is having a family or being a parent for the first time. That can generally change the landscape of your identity because you see other things as just as important or even more important than football itself. And I find in late career, many want to hold on to the athletic identity as much as possible, meaning they don't really want to retire, they don't really want to finish up at all, they want to continue playing. But some are more accepting of that and happy to look forward to the next stage of their life and happy to leave football behind. Again, none of these are good or bad. It just means that our athletic identity can come in different forms or shapes in these different stages of our career. Factors that influence athlete identity. These are the factors that may increase our idea of our athletic identity as a footballer or decrease our ideas of athletic identity as a footballer. The first one is second professional flexibility. What that means is our ability to be able to access another career, whether it be study or work, either during our career or after our career. And interestingly, our athlete identity increases once we have the freedom to access that second profession. There's also the club or team environment. So the more we are connected to our team or the club and we've been there for a period of time, the higher our athlete identity might be as opposed to a shorter period of time with that team. The contact with peers and teammates. So again, the more time we spend with them, the higher our identity is as an athlete. Similar with social recognition and reinforcement. So this is wider than the club itself. So this might be the media and fans and so on and so forth. When we're getting a lot of feedback from them and interaction with them, again, the athlete identity increases. Where right now, whilst we're not performing, I imagine that a lot of this has decreased as such. So our identity can decrease as an athlete. And then there's the elite athlete lifestyle. So the training, the traveling, the playing, the physical demands, the psychological demands, they're all part of what we do on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. And again, once we're in that lifestyle, that increases our identity as an athlete. But again, right now, that must most likely be decreased because we're not in our usual performance mode. And in many of these factors, probably 2 down to 5 are all probably decreased right now. So our athlete identity might be somewhat in question or have decreased somewhat. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. It's just a recognition that that may have occurred. However, the first one, this is a great opportunity to focus on other careers or study or so on. So that might be balancing out our athlete identity right now. Overidentification. This is the phase where it becomes unhealthy to identify as an athlete only. There are a lot of great attributes about being an athlete and very desirable ones as well, where it be about motivation and ambition and team ethic and so on. But if we become too embedded with that, then it can lead to unhealthy components. So we may see ourselves exclusively as an athlete. We may lose our sense of self as a person. And so we feel a bit lost outside being a footballer. And this limits them to believe that their highest value in the world is solely as an athlete only. So the only time we see ourselves as valuable is when we're performing or playing. And if that was the case, I imagine now would be quite difficult. What are the costs of over-identification? A consequence is actually losing complete enjoyment in other areas of life, meaning you can only enjoy football, but you don't get the same enjoyment in anything else. Become so wrapped up in the game, you become so single-minded, and you think that's the best way to go with your football, but other priorities are pushed aside in life. They could be relationships, study or that second career, hobbies that you used to enjoy, and you believe it's the best way to go to enhance performance as an athlete, but that may not be working either. So being able to develop values and relationships that are independent of the teams will help broaden your self-identity. There's a great quote here by Eric Cantona who said, "Often there are players who have only football as a way of expressing themselves and never develop other interests. And when they no longer play football, they no longer do anything. They no longer exist, or rather they have the sensation of no longer existing." So how do we manage a loss of identity? As I kind of indicated before, those factors, many of us might be grieving our former identity as a footballer, particularly around performance. So this can be quite difficult for many of us who gain a lot of who we are and a lot of validation of who we are by our performances each week that we aren't able to execute right now. Be autonomous. So it is important to provide yourself with choices regarding the identity you want, meaning, yes, you can still maintain that athletic identity, that's helpful for balance, but what are the other identities you can really increase right now? Perhaps look at that second career and set career goals by using smart or smarter to get the education goals you desire. And now's a good time to broaden those social networks. So yes, hopefully you can maintain those relationships within the club or wherever you play with, but now's a good time to look at developing an identity outside the sport. And that can include your social connections. So the joy and the enjoyment that you used to get from football, or mainly from football, can still occur in this period of your life. This provides opportunity for the other identities to expand. So it's a time to be useful to reflect or investigate the other identities you want to be associated with. Again, that might go back to being a parent or a family person. You might be with other friendships. You might be in other roles that you would like to have in your life. And overall, at the end of this might provide a better balance for your future. A good little exercise to do to yourself is thinking about what your other identities could or might be, is to actually think about your identity looks like, what your identity looks like when you are not playing sport. What are the different categories or different identities you can mention or write down when you think about who you are outside playing the game? But most importantly here, what can you do now? What are the actions you're taking to manage these other identities in these uncertain times? So yes, you might have the list of identities, but what can you do about it? What are the actions you could do to fulfill them and maintain this balance? So right now, I see identity as a preserve and build, meaning preserve our athlete identity. That's something we want to hold on to and still want to execute through things we've talked about in other sessions, such as routines and those social connections. But also, how do we build upon these other identities we have in our life that may have been pushed aside for a period of time because being a footballer had been so dominant in our lives? So keep and nurture your current athlete identity. We want that. We want to keep nurturing that. And we want you to continue to access the athlete version of yourself by training, staying in contact with your coaches and staff and teammates, but also note the other identities that are important in your life. So, typically when you speak to athletes, they have a whole of important people in your life or so many other things they would like to do. Now's a good time to kind of list what they are and see if you can invest some time in them. Explore the various actions in building these identities. And overall, this will give us a balance of both the athlete and non-athlete version for overall happiness and well-being. So this gives us a good opportunity to find that balance, and we might find some higher fulfillment in the end anyway. And it helps those transitions later in life when maybe our career might be coming to an end. Thank you for your time. I hope you got something out of this session and the other two sessions previous. Good to think about your identity right now in the phase we're going through and see this as an opportunity to broaden our balance of who we are from here on in. Thanks again.